go into this enormous compression, and the car behaves quite oddly because it fires into this wall of tarmac. It resists, so you end up actually using quite a lot of steering force. And then it goes the opposite. The point is you go wherever you want to go. It's like a dance.
Yeah, thanks Dylan. Was hoping you were going to do that before we just went on to race. I would look a bit silly doing my 122s with these guys doing their 115s and 117s and 118s.
Yes, thanks. Cockpit climatic in Europe.
How's it, guys? We are officially live. You've just caught us. The guys are now exiting out of the pit lane for their qualifying. Please just give us a message on the stream just to make sure that our sound is coming through clearly. I know that last week we did have a sorry, I'm just getting a little bit of feedback here. This must be turned off. There we go. So just want to make sure that the sound is coming through clearly and everything is hunky-dory. Just bringing up the actual current standings, we see that Bruno, he's currently leading on 100 points. Jakes, he's currently second, having had his first win in the first race, not doing so well in the second one. He's currently in, has 90 points. Ashley, sorry, that's Chris, he's currently in third place with Gerard in fourth. We then have Charles, who joined us last week, and he put himself on the podium for that win. Durkee, he's currently in sixth place with Jacques TTR. He's definitely the one to watch for this race. He has been putting in some sterling practice times. His teammate Duppy just behind him, followed by Ronaldo in 9th. Andrew, he's in 10th place with Dane 11th. Marshall, he's in 12th with Vince. He's been playing around with some of his settings, and he's definitely looks like he'll have some pace. Colin, he unfortunately is out of this season, and Jacques unfortunately not able to join us this evening, and Hugh. Savvy, you're in the virtual commentary box with me. How are you doing, sir?
All good, man, all good. I was practicing with the boys yesterday, you know, hopefully just to get a bit of an understanding of the track and the severity of it. And I tell you what, I was licking my wounds with some of the speed that was being conducted. So it was great. It was a great evening practicing with the boys. I was with the Alpha boys and the Bravo boys last night, and I can tell you now, it's going to be some exciting racing coming up on SARCO this evening.
Most definitely. You know, I generally do those setup laps just to try and help the guys get used to the actual tracks. I put a bit of a hot lap together, and I must say I really battled this time around. I only managed to do a 1:19.10, and we are seeing times as low as a 1:15. That's nearly 4 seconds faster than I could even dream about getting.
Well, look at Turbo Shaw there. He's just put up a 1:16.979. And that's just for starters. So I'm pretty excited, pretty pumped up this evening to see what's going to be going down.
And one of the interesting things here for this format is that the last 2 races we have had a 40-minute race. We've actually broken this race down. You can see it's a shorter track, and we're having 2 times 20-minute sprint races. Whoa, there's a big slide there for Charles. So I do think that the guys are going to be a little bit more aggressive now, not being able to just to settle in their paces, and they're really going to be racing at top there. But we can already see how close those times are in the midfield. It's definitely going to be very crowded there.
And that's what it's all about. That's what it makes this so exciting to watch, because of the closeness of the drivers. And you can see 117's popping up now, right through the stack there, and some of them are actually going quicker on their second laps.
Yeah, most definitely. As those tires start heating up, and they're just getting used to the actual feel of the car, this will be the last lap, so the last chance that the guys can get a lap in. It is only a 5-minute qualifier, which definitely means that you have to be on point right up there. Sorry, Rudy, thanks for joining in. Marius, thanks so much. Yes, I see what I've done. I've left the alpha results up there. Let's take those away. There you go. So Charles, he's currently in first with Chris right behind him in second. Then it is Dupi. He's up into 3rd place with Jake's in 4th, Bruno's in 5th. Jacques, on paper, Jacques would have been the fastest here, because he was definitely throwing some crazy times on the Discord. Then Gerard, he's in 7th with Andrew in 8th, Day 9th, Marshall, he's in 10th with Vince in 11th and Ronaldo in 12th. But we'll just keep watching the guys as they cross the line here in the first qualifier. So Charles goes slightly quicker. Will Chris be able to get quicker? He too goes quicker, but still 0.7 behind. So on the stream, Rudy has joined us as well as Marius. How's it, guys? So Rudy will be in action a little bit later. And I think maybe later on, Marius, if you're keen, come join the party with us and come say how's it. So that is a qualifying over. Scholl, he puts himself on pole with Chris right behind him, and I see Jacques, he did recover there. He did get into the 1:17.5, so definitely far away from the times that he was saying he was going to be able to do. And that puts Jakes in 4th with Duppy in 5th, Bruno in 6th place with Gerard in 7th. That is Andrew in 8th, Dane in 9th, and Vince Shayman. He is still struggling with this car and just can't seem to get to terms with it. Marshall is in 11th and Ronaldo in 12th. So unfortunately that does look like we have lost somebody there, Savi.
It does look as though we have, but let's have a look. Okay, so we're up for racing right now. 12 drivers on the grid, not in the grid, on the grid. I'm starting to sound like you, Dylan.
Listen, I still am on some pain meds. I did go to the physio today to just get the knee activated, but everything is looking good.
Well, I'm not even on meds, and I'm starting it already. So, and I haven't had a drop to drink. So there we go. Let's get it all done, and we're waiting for the sync as we speak, and this is going to be a good one.
So the guys do have their final 2 minutes to get their final setups in if they have a qualifying versus a race setup. So this is what they're going to be doing now, and we will be racing for the next 20 minutes. So as mentioned earlier, it is 2 times 20-minute sprint races for this round, number 3. We're at a Snetterton 200, and it looks very simple on paper, but unfortunately it is extremely tricky with lots of braking into the corner. And that's what we're waiting for there. The cars are sinking, so the lights will be coming up and we will be racing. So that means it is green, 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 and we are racing, and Scholl has a great start. Well, that in 4th place, that is actually Jakes. He's also got a great start. He's unfortunately got stuck right up behind as they come into turn number 1. So Scholl leads with Jacques. He's up into 2nd place. So Christopher unfortunately losing out off the start there to Jacques, but Chris now moves to the inside. Great move there. That puts Jacques on the outside going into the next corner. So Jakes, he's still in 4th. Then we have Dupi 5th. Bruno's in 6th place. Andrew 7th. So he's up. Vincent, he's up to 8th place, having started 10th. So he's really doing well there. And Ronaldo, he too is up. Into this tricky braking section with Brundle, then a sharp right-hander into Nelson. Bruno, having come 2nd in our last race, he's finding himself down the order in 6th place. Back to our race leader Scholl, and he has Christopher 0.5 of a second behind him here through the last corner. And we do get a slipstream benefit. There are 2 very long straights on this track. Well, I say very long, but they are quite long considering the actual length of the track. Jacques really looking comfortable in 2nd place, coming out of Riches, which is a double apex in that corner. A little lock up there by Christopher. Onboard shot with Jacques coming down the back straight, heading towards Brundle. See that he'll be braking at that Brundle sign, turning in slightly back on the brakes, then Nelson turn in back on the power, and Scholl ran himself a little bit wide. That's put Christopher 0.2 seconds behind him. That is through a bomb hole. That is an extremely tricky corner. If you run slightly wide, there's a little divot that can definitely send you off. Great bumper shot here from Jacques, but you can see how Chris got a much better drive coming out that corner. We begin lap number 3 of this 20-minute race. Looked like Chris was slightly wide there going into the first part of that corner. Jacques a little bit wide, nearly giving Jakes an opportunity there. And Dupi, he's still in 5th place, but he has Bruno right behind him. Scholl trying to break that slipstream from Chris. Into Brundle, a very little sideways for Scholl. Chris gets back on that power, but just not enough momentum to put himself on the inside. But that's Jakes now. It's making a move on the inside of Jacques, coming through Coram. But that will put Jacques on the inside here for the last corner, Murray's. And Jakes goes through, so he moves himself up into 3rd place. And I'm sure he now has his sights set on chasing down Christopher as well as Scholl. So Savvy, what was the trickiest corner for you here?
Yeah, Dylan, I think basically it was the last part of the track for me.
Oh, this
was a great corner. Oh, there we go. Whoa!
Jakes and Christopher touching. Oh, little contact there. Oh no! that is Jakes and Jacques unfortunately going off. I think it was just because Jakes had got onto the dirt, lost some traction. As soon as he got back on, it just kicked the rear out, and that put him up against Chris. Then it was poor Jacques who, with Jakes having made that contact, losing the rear and went straight into him. So that now changes the top 4 positions. That's Charles, he still leads with Chris in second. Duppy, he's now in 3rd place with Bruno in 4th, and Jacques now down to 5th, and I'm sure he's going to have Andrew closing him down because that looked like quite a big hit. I'm sure he'll be carrying some damage there.
Just going back to Bruno now, just to see him coming around Dupe. Is he going to come around Dupe?
You might get him on the inside. It all depends on how brave he is on these brakes. But Dupe is nice and tight, so it seems to have had him covered. But you can see how tricky that little section there is. So we're just looking at the stream, and we've now got James Brown who's joined us. How's it, James? Gavin, he'll be on later, as well as Stephen. He too will be back. Stephen, well, we can say this is your night, boy. Time for you to get in, because Stephen, unfortunately, having disconnected out of 2 races. Well, not even disconnecting, he just could not connect to us. But we've had some testing done through the last week, and the last 2 times we actually raced together, it all seemed fun. So here's hoping. So I must say, I'm actually very surprised that Bruno is struggling to get around Duppy. I honestly thought he would have been higher up in the order.
Yeah, I think maybe just a little bit to do with the setups. I mean, I'm looking at him, he's in 4th now. He should be climbing into 5th, which he's not doing. So I don't know if he's got the shorter ratio on and just gone with the standard setup, and then obviously made some adjustments around obviously the roll bar. Because, I mean, up that hill, it's definitely from 4th to 5th. Tap braking, I think you're a lot quicker. As from the video setup that you did?
Yeah, well, unfortunately for me, I would actually just tap the brakes to get the nose in, and I was actually in 5th. But I must say, it really was not a very good lap from our side. But that is Bruno now making his move, going through the inside, through the bomb hole. You've got to be very careful how you say that, because it can definitely come out a little bit strange.
Now this was the most difficult corner for me in the entire track, because I was contemplating either going for 2nd gear or even down to 1st, but 1st slows you down tremendously, and then obviously trying to get speed up to get past the line. That was the biggest point of discussion. This was basically, there's 4th as you're coming up the hill, 5th gear. You see the ratio from what I can see there, and I know we're commentators, but obviously with different setup, different people.
Yeah, most definitely. So can we just jump back to 7th place please with Jakes and Dane, because I see that Dane hasn't been letting Jakes get away from him. So that's Dane currently in 8th place, and I'm wondering whether Jakes is carrying some damage after that knock.
I think he is, to be quite honest, Dylan, I think he's picked up something, because it's normally a little bit, he's normally much quicker, and maybe what we should do,
yep.
You see, there we go, let me see if I can get on a bit of an outer shot.
Oh, that commentator's curse there for Jakes. Sorry, Jakes. But I think that's going to allow Dane to go through on the inside. Whoa. Dane, well, unfortunately for Jakes, Dane wasn't quite there yet. So there might be some suspension damage for Jakes, because he definitely is battling through those corners now. And I must say, Chris, he's really hanging on to the back of Scholl. We are just about halfway in this first race. There will be another 20-minute race directly after this. The guys will have another chance at 5-minute qualifying, and the points for this round is essentially half of the 40-minute race. So the first place will score 30 points, and so it goes down. So there's Vince. He was climbing up the order, but I see he has now dropped down. He's got Gerard in his sights, so he's trying to close him down and get some additional places there. And sadly, we have 12. I was pretty sure that we'd actually started with 13 drivers, so I'm not sure who we had lost. Want to have a look here on the
I don't want to say anything because last time I actually got into trouble. So I'm keeping quiet now and waiting for the roster to be counted.
So Chris is still battling to find his way, or also as he's now known as Foldover, trying to find a way around Turbo Scholl. And Bruno's just not closing the gap up on these two. Nice little flick of the rear there by Scholl. You could just see how he took the car through there sideways. And Sabi, it looks like Jacques starting to close up on Andrew. If we could just jump back there quickly. So this is the Turtle versus the Mamba. Well, Jacques a little bit wide there. But now Jacques trying to get as much slipstream as possible as he can from Andrew. You can see Andrew's a little bit later on the brakes than Jacques. He's carried a great speed, but he should get a better exit than Jacques did, because Jacques really slowed that car down into the Nelson corner.
Yeah, looks like he's trying to catapult his way through there. And here we go through the last section, coming through to start finish now. And
Andrew's just trying to weave out the way so that Jacques can't get a slipstream. But that's all she wrote, I'm afraid, that Jacques will now get alongside Andrew coming through Riches. And Andrew will just concede that place. And we now have Jakes starting to close down on these two. Oh, that was Jacques up on the curb. And I think, yes, he's now lost that place to Jakes. No, not quite yet. But he'll just squeeze Jakes over. So I've found the person that we've lost, and it is actually Dirkie. Dirkie is one of the other drivers that was not with us, so we actually did only start with 12 drivers It was a miscalculation on my side. I do apologize. And that is because Dirkie, he too is away. That is Jake's jumping right up behind Andrew and now going past. If we could just jump to the outside there, please, Savvy. I just want to watch these three cars going through riches. Oh! There's Shark rolling himself over all by himself up on that sausage curb. Oh my goodness, I'm sure he's not going to be happy that we got that on camera. The turtle put himself on his back. We saw bonnets flying. I wonder if Jacques will retire, whether he will try and get this car home. There is just about 3 laps to go. If we can just jump to the leaders, please. I'm just watching the times there between Charles and Chris is not letting him go. So Chris has got a great exit coming out of the Montreal hairpin. Just not getting enough of a slipstream advantage, but will he be able to go around the outside coming into Brundle?
Oh, here it comes.
As Chris would say, flat out. That's definitely one of his signature saying that he does, and we see it flying all over our Discord.
Nevertheless, to say Charles has defended this position absolutely to the tilt this evening. Really, I think he's fully aware that Chris is behind him.
Yep.
If Chris hasn't showed him a couple of moves trying to get around him, and I mean he's in the slipstream quite often here.
Yep, most definitely. And what I'm actually noticing is I was just looking at the lap times, and while these guys were battling, it was Bruno who was actually going quicker than the two of them in the front here. But now Bruno's just lost that 0.2, and Chris must be very frustrated and not being able to find a way around him. And you can see Jake, he too is doing a very similar time. Oh, that was not a good time there at all. Because Jake's had done a 118.1, so he's essentially lost a second there.
So Dylan,
yes.
the reason for the change now, I mean it's not one 40-minute session or 20-minute session. Why the change? Is it a change? I'm sure some of the viewers would like to know.
The reason we wanted to do that is in the previous season that we had the 40-minute championship and the 20-minute championship. And we just got some feedback that the guys did like both of them, and it was just about being able to just put some variety within the racing, because your strategies essentially would need to be different, and the way you actually attack the race itself is different. So it was just to keep things fresh, and it definitely looks like the guys are enjoying it.
Just going on board now with Turbo Charles, just to have a look now at maybe getting some trick tidbits here for myself and Dylan, because I'm watching now where he's braking. Fifth,
So
fourth.
he was on the brakes quite early there, but he actually didn't hit the brakes as hard as I did. I see he was just slowly putting some brakes on there, so that's definitely a learning for me.
Well, I mean, we've got sort of 52 seconds. That's why I want to see where he's ended up. He's in fifth gear going flat out. Watch, but as he comes to the marker, puts it down into third, comes around the corner in second, keeps it tight, and look at that drive.
Yeah, most definitely. That's really a great lap. So we will be crossing the line for the the second last time. We are now on the final lap of this race with only 27 seconds to go.
So it's either make or break. It's either make or break, but that was a bit wide there, wasn't it?
So what I think he was trying to do is just have a later apex, just to get more of a straight line going through the left-hander. So it's obviously just trying different varieties, trying different things, just to see where he can find those extra couple seconds.
Much tighter in this one. Here we go.
Shaw was very wide there going into Brundle, so that put him quite tight up for Nelson, and Chris just not close enough to take advantage of that. But I'm wondering whether Chris will have a late dive into the last corner. It does not get any closer than that.
Wow. Absolutely. Watch this. He's going to try and go past him. Surely stays as it is. Well done.
Great ending there. So Chris, unfortunately, not being able to find a way around Scholl, and landed up being a 0.126 seconds behind him as they crossed that line. So Bruno will come home in third with Duppy in fourth. Jakes, he will now cross the line in fifth position. And Andrew, he always talks about him finishing in sixth. Well, there you have it. Andrew will now cross the line in sixth place. Dane, a very respectable 7, with Marshall in 8th. Jacques, we see Jacques coming around with no front bumper, no bonnet. It actually looks like a drag car. We'll cross the line in 9th with Gerard in 10th place, and Vince, he's down in 11th place, and Ronaldo down in 12th position.
So you're going to chat to the guys about the race? I think so.
Yes, we're definitely going to go and do that. So I'm quickly just going to jump into the lobby.
No worries. Just to give you an overview there, Turbo Shoal, as you saw, took that nicely. What a race between the two guys, as Dylan now goes into the party chat.
Oh, and obviously I went and I stuffed it up. Well, that was a great race there, guys. Bruno, you got yourself stuck in 5th place, but you managed to fight your way up and ended up finishing 3rd. Were you happy with that result?
Yeah, I was just stuck in the pits forever in quali, so I couldn't do that extra lap that everyone else did. But yeah, it was good. Had some fun behind Duppy, and then when I got ahead, the guys in the front were too far ahead, and that was my race. So nice, easy, relaxed race, I guess.
Cool. And then Christopher, you just could not find your way around Scholl.
Yeah, he drove very well. The both of us made 1 or 2 mistakes here and there, but we were pushing hard. It was a good race.
And I'm sure you're going to be wanting to change that result for the next one. And Scholl, great drive there. Lots of pressure from Christopher. We did see that going into the last lap, just going into Brundle, you went a little bit wide, and we honestly thought that Chris might have got past you. Do you think that a mistake like that could happen in the next race?
Hopefully not. But yeah, it was a good race. Christopher drove really well, but just I was struggling with that one corner the whole race. So that was my Achilles heel. So hopefully next race will be better.
All right, cool. And then Jakes and Jacques, unfortunately, we saw that little bit of contact, a little bouncing, and then all of a sudden a little contact. So we definitely want to see you guys fighting it out once again. And we did comment, Jacques. We luckily did get that on the stream, so you can go and see it for yourself. Going into the corner where you put yourself in the roof by yourself at Montreal.
Yeah, no, unfortunately me and Jacques had that come together there. I really don't know what happened there.
My car just went out of control. I was busy passing Christopher there, and I don't know what happened. I don't know, but yeah.
Yeah, it's the first time I've actually seen a tortoise on its shell.
All right, guys, we are going to go into the second heat. If you can get those thumbs up, and we can go racing.
Brilliant.
And as you can see, guys, that Jacques is extremely quiet. But don't worry, Jacques, you can go back and you can see yourself putting yourself on the roof. Let's go heat number 2.
Jacques, just tell me what time you want me to meet.
No man, Dylan. Keep doing that. I'm not used to this prioritizing party chat. There we go. Okay guys, so while we are waiting for the stream to load, there is a little message that I want to bring up, and now why is it not showing? So on the screen you will see the hashtag BloodDrive101. That is in support of gathering 250 pints of blood, and that is for the racing driver Tamwa, who was part of our racing community, who unfortunately on the 2nd of October last year did pass away due to a motorbike accident. And it is family that have got behind this initiative to collect 200 pints of blood, is what Ty unfortunately used during his recovery of those the 5 months that he was in hospital. So if you're able to, please just go into Facebook, just do the search on a Blood Drive 101, and please go and help this amazing cause. So Savvy, there is definitely going to be a very, very interesting race now. I do think that we'll get Bruno a little bit further up. As he mentioned, he did get stuck in the pit, so hopefully he'll be able to get a good lap on.
I hope so. What I did hear as we were coming out of the party is Jakes was asking what time he must meet Jacques behind the grandstand. So that was obviously indicating the severity of that particular move. And thank goodness that we actually had it on them at the time. Absolutely.
Look, I honestly, I don't think it was anything malicious. I just think it's because Jakes had come back onto the track after hitting that curb, that there just wasn't enough space for all 3 cars. It is very unfortunate.
Yeah, I mean, it does happen, and we know it happens. I mean, especially with these little monsters, because any little curb on the side there will throw it backwards and forwards and lose total control. Having driven these the last couple of days, and I can tell you now, they are very, very fidgety, especially when you've got huge curves, as we've got on the screen right there.
Yeah, without a doubt. And that's because the curves that you have here is that if you get your wheel over the curb and you try and get it back in, it's just going to throw the car around. So the whole idea, especially on this track, is to not get onto those curbs at all, if possible.
I mean, there's a great shot there. Look at the size of that curve. It's almost half up the fender of these cars. So, you know, and they've got their little bits at the end there, even on the flat ones. If you hook the back tire into that, your back end's going and you're just going off the track. And I think that's exactly what happened in that particular session. I think we're coming through right now with Charles for a time, so let's have a look.
They would have had their out lap. So that is Christopher at 118.1. That's Marshall, he did the 121, then Scholl at 118.0. That's Jakes, who's currently the fastest. Jacques, he does a 117.9, so he puts himself second ahead of Scholl. Bruno a 118.3. There's a Duppy, he moves himself up into 6th place.
And here the times are just flying in at the moment. So great to see the closeness of the numbers coming up on the screen at the moment. And I can tell you now, it has been Jake's. Congratulations. I think you don't need to go and see somebody behind the grandstands at the moment with that time, if that time continues.
No, I honestly think that these times will come down. I probably reckon about a 1:17.2 might be the fastest lap. But if you're looking at 1st to 5th place, that is 0.5 of a second. But now as they start getting a single file, they'll start crossing line, and we'll definitely get a much better view of the lap times. With 40 seconds left to go, there will be some guys who will be able to get another lap.
Here it goes. There's the change. Bruno's gone up.
Currently first with
Bruno's gone up.
0.063. Scholl just behind him. There's Jacques, 0.3 seconds
Look
behind
at that.
Bruno.
Look
Then
at that.
Christopher, he now drops down into 4th place, and Jakes, who was in pole, he's now down into 5th.
Just like that. Just like that. That's what this racing is. Wow.
And there's Vince,
Unbelievable.
he's jumped himself into the pits as well as Duppy. So there are guys that are still on the track. So that is now qualifying complete. And whoever is on the track will still be able to get a lap in. Oh, a little kick off the curb there for Bruno. So he's definitely going to have lost some time there. So I'm assuming, James Brown, that you're supporting Christopher flat out, was the comment there.
Down
Morris
into
as well.
4th at the moment.
So Chris down into 4th. Let's see if Bruno, there's Charles, he goes fastest now, so he puts himself in pole with a 1:16.8. Bruno's not able to go any quicker. Jacques, he is still needs to finish his lap. He's currently in 3rd with Chris in 4th place. Oh, this is Chris, who we are currently watching, so he won't improve on his time either. So I think that is all she wrote. So Charles will start in the front with Bruno next to him. It will then be Jacques in 3rd place. Chris in 4th, Jake's 5th, Duppy, he's in 6th with Gerard in 7th. Marshall in 8th, Andrew in 9th, and Vince in 10th. And then the last 2 spots will go to Dane in 11th place and Ronaldo in 12th. We'll just push the continue button, and we will go into the holding lobby while the guys get ready, and we will be racing the 2nd heat of this tier 1 race. So to the guys racing in the Bravo tier, you'll see that we are about 4 minutes behind schedule. But it's definitely a much better recovery, considering we were just about 40 minutes late due to the stream not being up, and we had fixed all those problems this week. So we will get you racing on the track at about 9:10.
So let's start with the grid lineup. It was Turbo Charles, then Bruno, Mal, Chris, Jakes, Dupe in 6th, 7th was V-Dub, 8th is VL4.
That's Marshall.
And let's go back up. That was just to take you to the first 8. Obviously, here they go, and they are away at the moment. And as you can see, it is Turbo Charles up in the front there. Mal looking to come into 2nd position there, taking Bruno on. And as they come
great start
through,
there by Jacques. Coming through turn number 1, Jacques, he puts himself in 2nd place, right behind Jacques. Bruno's in 3rd. That is Chris in 4th, Jake's 5th, Duppy in 6th, and Gerard in 7th position.
just put the splits up there for you. So
Thank you
you
very
can get
much.
on there.
So that is Chris looking to go to the inside of Bruno, but just slows down, lets Bruno go through safely. And that is Jacques up on that curb once again, so he's going to definitely lose out to Bruno. But then right behind him, he's going to have Chris and Jakes. They are just about a 3 wide. So
It's
Jacques
a 3
has
wide horse.
A 3-horse race.
But this is great stuff. Whoa.
Jacques has lost 2 places from that little mistake that he had coming out of Nelson's, and that put both Bruno and Christopher ahead of him. And Jakes, I'm sure he's going to be wanting to get into this action as well. And in the distance we can see Charles starting to pull nearly a 2-second lead.
Oh, bit of a nudge.
I think that's Jakes that's gone off. I see he's dropping down the order. There's Jakes rejoining down in 12th place. So there's definitely was something that happened coming into Riches. And Charles now starting to pull away, but that is Jacques now coming back on Bruno. So Jacques will move to the inside going into Bundle, but that unfortunately on Nelson's he did not have the best of line. Bruno managed to get past him, and that is Duppy, Jacques' teammate, has now gone ahead of him with Gerard, now starting to put additional pressure on Jacques. It just seems that every time he comes to this part of the track he's just not getting the drive out and he's just dropping down those positions. That is a shot of the 2 TTR drivers. Jacques now coming back on his teammate. They'll come through Riches side by side, and looks like Duppy will just let him through. But now that's put pressure on Duppy, because that's Gerard now on the inside, nearly 3 wide into Montreal. Jacques will now be on the inside through the little left-hander. And I do think that Gerard will get the win into the next corner. I was wrong. It's definitely the angle that we had. But Jacques now goes ahead of Gerard into this tricky Brundle corner. But Gerard stays ahead of Duppy out through Nelson. So your current positions, we see Charles, he's in first place with Chris in second, Bruno's third, Jacques, he's in 4th place, Gerard, he's in 5th with Duppy 6th, Marshall, he's in 7th place with Vince 8th, Ronaldo 9th, Andrews in 10th, Dane 11th, and unfortunately Jakes having retired. So now we just need to keep watching these lap times to see whether Chris and Bruno were able to close the gap down on Charles. Well, that was nearly 3 wide, or that was actually, that is Vince getting it very sideways. I think he was just trying to avoid Marshall, who got stuck on the inside.
He was watching the tree with the hands up.
Yes, it is definitely a very, very interesting corner, because you definitely do look up and you definitely look at the man tree.
Man tree showing his hands. Distraction for Vincent there. But here we go up now just to have a look. Here we go. Looks pretty close amongst this lot. And this is something to watch now, because there is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 drivers which are extremely close to one another, and it could be something to keep an eye on at the moment.
Yep, most definitely. There's definitely a lot of action here, and Vince is starting to put a lot of pressure on Marshall. Vince now going to the outside, so he will try and go around the outside of Marshall, going through Riches. I'm not sure whether Marshall will just squeeze him slightly or whether he'll just tighten his line. And will that allow Vincent to go around the outside? Yes, he does. So Vincent now moves himself up into 7th place.
We've got to go up to Bruno.
Whoa! Vincent climbing the curb, and that's just going to allow Marshall to get right back behind him. So yes, I agree with you, we can just jump to the battle for 2nd and 3rd place. That was the race leader Shaw going past, and this is the battle now for 2nd and 3rd. And there goes Jacques, really battling. You can see how he just straightened up, coming out of Brundle. Well, that was Christopher on the dirt.
Oh, bit of a nudge there. That's not going to do him any justice. It looks as though he's going past him.
I think he might have got a bit of a time penalty, so instead of losing the time, maybe Chris is thinking that he is going faster than Bruno, so rather just give up the place and he'll have to come and fight him back later. But with these two battling it out, we can see that the gap between themselves and Charles is definitely increasing. That gap now just under 5 seconds. Big lock up there for Bruno going into Montreal. We can see Jacques, after his mistake going into Nelson, he's now down into 4th place. So it's actually his teammate Duppy who's moved up into 4th and Gerard into 5th place. So there's still some battles to be had, because now Jacques is starting to close down on Gerard. And I'm definitely seeing that Jacques has a lot more straight line speed on that back straight. Gerard getting his rear wheel just off on the dirt coming out of Nelson. Single foul through Coram. But now it all depends on the lines that the guys are taking. See, Jacques is very tight up against Coram, and Gerard is a little bit sideways. And that will allow Jacques to get the drive coming out of that last corner. So Jacques will move up into 5th place. So now sideways action for Jacques into Riches. And Marshall is still fighting very hard there on the rear of Vince. He doesn't want to let Vince get away. But Vince now starting to move up the order. That is definitely a much better performance for him this time round.
Yeah, just catching up with the time there. Been watching it a little bit. You can see Chris now catching him, Bruno, nicely here, but still a little way off. And I'm not too sure. You're going to see it coming through now, whether he's able to pick up that pace. A bit of fine tuning, I think, done on those cars. You can see that pull away as Chris trying to catch Bruno down the straight here.
So I must say that Bruno is definitely a lot stronger in the later parts of the race. That we've seen it time and time again, where he just goes from strength to strength. So definitely you want to be watching the times to see whether these two will actually be able to reel Charles in.
I think Charles is actually gaining. If I look there, I mean, it was 4.8 seconds. It's now almost 5.8 seconds now. So he's gained another second, has Charles at the moment.
We can just see those lap times that Charles having done 0.3 quicker than these two. But these two are definitely not doing each other any favors racing like this, because you're not able to take your optimum line, and that definitely is going to slow you down, where Charles got a clean track ahead of him, so he can just put in the consistent laps and is not really feeling the pressure that these two would be.
Yeah, I think well said there, Dylan. I mean, obviously, this is the battle that's going on behind him. And I think at the moment Turbo Charles is grateful for that because he doesn't have them close up. And there's that inside move.
But Chris realized that Bruno still had the fastest line, so I'm sure Chris, he hit the brakes there just to allow Bruno to go past him. Did not want to get involved with the tangle, it's just not worth it. Comment there to say that the boys of the Bravo tier can still battle it out.
Oh, a little bit of a mistake by Chris there again. Just in at the wrong angle, and that is a tricky corner. I mean, that is definitely one of the nastiest little corners S's through this race. I mean, I think there's 6 corners in this race, if I'm not mistaken, Dylan.
I'll have
6
to
turns. I think it's 8. Sorry, 8 turns. Sorry, 8 turns.
And the reason that one is so tricky is because you're coming from Brundle, which is a left-hander, so you're braking into a corner, and then you've got to do a 90 degrees turn to the right, and if you don't get that line right, not only do you impact your entry speed, but your exit speed all the way around through Bomb Hole and then around through Coram. But Bruno made a little mistake there. But I saw that. Just looking at the time, is that Bruno and Chris are now 1.2 seconds behind Scholl. So I think Scholl's made a mistake, and he's now done these guys a favor. With 7 minutes to go, I'm sure they are now going to have their sights on Scholl, and things could get interesting in the closing stages.
Let's have a look here. Look at this. Look at this. Here it is.
So there's another mistake for Scholl, running a little bit wide, and I'm sure the guys behind him are going to be seeing this, and they are going to be relishing at the opportunity to have been able to close him down. We will definitely see the mistake now when they cross the line to begin a lap number 11. And just looking further down the field is that the guys do seem to be a little bit more spread out, so just setting their current positions. The one that could possibly get closer might be VW if Shark makes any other mistakes. But now we've just about got first, second and third, and there it is within 1 second of each other.
Amazingly though, Charles seems to still be pulling away on the straights. So I'm wondering what sort of gear set he's got in that car.
Yeah, those gears definitely would have been fiddled with. But Scholl doing a 1 minute 24, that definitely was a big mistake, which has allowed them to catch right behind him. And that looked like Chris going to the inside through the bomb hole. And yes, Chris now moves himself up into second place. So Chris getting a great drive coming out of Nelson.
Tapping on the brakes there. No contact between them, which is great driving.
But we've definitely seen that over the last couple of races, Sabbies, where the guys are giving each other enough space. We're not really grabbing each other, the bumping. And it's just because the guys respect each other's space now. They have a good idea of what the other driver's going to do. And it's just very, very smart and very respectful driving.
And that's what it's all about. I mean, last night we were driving, I was with Gavin, and we were in a particular lobby with Turbo Charles, I think, as well, and Mal, and they let some internationals join. And boy, I tell you, no disrespect, but wow, there was no respect when it came to giving way to people.
Without a doubt, without a doubt. But this is why we created SARCO, and this is why we have this racing, so that people can come and enjoy this close contested racing, and everyone can just race clean and have some fun.
And not land on their roofs.
Well, unless you are a TTR driver, then you get to do that by yourself.
Oh, you just ditched. You just ditched. Some backlash is coming your way, son. Yo! Whoa! It's gonna be there.
So there's a saying that Jacques would use, and unfortunately that this is a family show, so I'm not able to repeat it.
No, please don't. Let's keep it clean.
Okay, just about 4 minutes to go of this race, so we are now 1 minute past 9. The lobby, the second lobby, the Brabatier. Guys, if you are gonna get ready, please, your PlayStation can be turned on, because we will be sending the invites within the next 5 minutes or so, so get ready, because we will be racing for the Brabatier shortly. But we still have just about, I'd say just over 2 laps. I don't think we'll get 3 laps in, so 2 laps of this race to go.
And they're all trying to work that one out, Dylan. So just to give you an indication, just under 3 minutes of driving to be done as they cross the start finish right about now.
That is correct. So if they're doing 1 minute 70s, we actually, my brain's already working, but that will give us a 2 minute 20, so we might actually get 3 laps out of it. You see Bruno's really trying hard to close the gap on Chris. There was a little lock up there, but Charles been able to go quicker than the 2 behind him. So Charles a 1:17.0 with Chris a 1:17.1 and then Bruno a 1:17.2. Just looking further down the field, there isn't really anyone that's getting very close. If we can just jump to, we are on there already, well spotted there, Savvy. It is Jacques now starting to close down on his teammate. So with just over 2 laps to go, will Jacques be able to get himself into 4th place?
Both of them being turtle drivers.
So they actually are called the TTR, which is the Turbo Turtle Racing Team, and that it comprises of Duppy as well as Malmur, but he did change his name to Mal TTR, and boy is he Mal. So Chris now, it was within 0.5 of a second to Scholl. So he's definitely closing down. You can see Chris did a 1:16.8. So this looks like another late charge attempt here by Chris to possibly get in front. So there will be one more lap after this one. So Stephen just saying that he's waiting for his race to get pumped up. Great shot of the 2 guys coming through, and Nelson and Chris is right behind Scholl. But it's again, where will he find the opportunity? Is this the opportunity? Scholl sees him coming, but Chris moves to the inside. Chris just touches the brakes, lets Scholl go. But now will he go wide on the brakes, cuts back to the inside. And it's all going to be to see who got the better drive coming out of the last corner. They are now just about side by side. So we will have one more lap with 26 seconds left of the session. Scholl will now have the inside, side by side. Chris is still on the outside. A little contact there between Chris and Scholl. That's Bruno now. That's Bruno into the back of Scholl. That is extremely unfortunate that there was the contact. So Scholl, fortunately now dropping down to 3rd place. That is Chris in front with Bruno in 2nd place. The 2, Scholl and Bruno, were side by side, getting ready to go into Montreal. There was a little bit of contact, and that unfortunately has spun Scholl around. So through the last corner for the last time here in the Alpha tier. So Chris will cross the line in first place with Bruno second, Charles in third. Duppy, he will defend his teammate and cross the line in fourth place with Jacques in fifth. Gerard, he will come home in sixth place with Marshall in seventh, with Vince just behind him in eighth. There's Vince in 8th place, followed by 9th place will be Andrew, then Dane in 10th place and Ronaldo in 11th, and unfortunately Jake's retiring. Cool, I'm just going to jump into the game. Great racing there in the second tier, guys. Oh, sorry, the second heat, and oh my goodness, that last lap, absolute chaos. It was really close, and unfortunately Bruno and Charles, a little bit of contact there. Chris was all over the place, everyone was going everywhere, a little bit of contact, very unfortunate. Charles, we did see that there was one lap where you were about nearly 6 seconds ahead, and then unfortunately you had dropped down. The way at one lap was a 1 minute 24. Did you make a mistake there?
Yeah, I threw that one away. I spun, was pulling away nicely, and then I put myself into the slip again. And yeah, I threw it away, and then on the last lap, Bruno took me out.
Yeah, so we were on the action, and it was just an extremely unfortunate incident that Bruno was on the inside, and yeah, a little bit of contact. So we'll definitely go there and have a look. And Bruno, yourself and Chris were really battling it out for that entire race, and you guys trading places. But did you enjoy that race?
Yeah, I have to gather my thoughts for a sec, but yeah, I think the guys had a slightly better gear ratio than me, so it made it a bit tough, but I had an awesome battle with Chris. I think he was ahead, then I was ahead, then he got ahead again. And then, yeah, we all of a sudden Charles was with us. Then I was having a good time watching them fight. But yeah, my last lap, I can say that I had a great run coming out of the corner, and I thought there was a moment that I should go for it. When I came out of it, it was too late. Charles was already blocking, so I couldn't do much. That's just racing. I would have loved to avoid him, but when I was committed, I committed and unfortunately made contact. But that's racing. It was fun. It was a bit nerve-wracking that last lap, but well done to all the guys. I think it was exciting.
And then Chris, you come away with the win there after there was a little bit of contact between yourself and Charles. Actually, you were on the outside going through Riches, and a little contact, and you unfortunately had to straighten out, and then I think that was all part of that incident. Did you come away with the win here? How did you enjoy that race?
Firstly, I just want to say thanks a lot to Bruno. That was a great race, great dicing, and to Charles. Unfortunately, through turn one, I was on the outside and we were rubbing the whole way through. Went off. I think he also, with the contact, he also came back on track, and unfortunately Bruno, that had a much better line through turn one, had the drive on both of us, and they collided. But nonetheless, it was great racing. And yeah, thanks guys. I really enjoyed that one. Thanks.
Right, cool guys. Thank you very much. Thanks for the race. If you could just exit the lobby, and we'll get the second Bravo tier up and running shortly.
Cool, thanks guys.
Cheers guys, thanks.
Nice to be back.
Ciao, ciao.
Cheers.
Jake's just sorry, not Jake's, Marius. Is that better? Because I did see your comment come up to say put the music off. I did see that the volume was blaring there. So guys, we will be back with the Bravo tier in about 2 minutes. We just want to get the invites out and we'll be back shortly.
Good evening.
Good evening, how are you? Fantastic.
I don't know, Steven again.
Hello. Good evening. Did you send Theo invite? Okay.
How's it, guys?
How's does it?
Good on you, Dylan. Peter is at work.
Peter's not going to make it.
Nice
And
to see
Steven
Craig
said,
back.
Steven said he was clashing just now.
That's personality, it's got nothing to do with... So who's done the 16.8, Joe?
Still waiting for that wet dream.
98 is about as good as it gets, yeah, chaps.
Didn't Charles do a 116.9 in the race?
Jeez, that's unnecessary.
Christopher also got a 16 something I saw in the race.
Just call us the 20 club. Come Ash, we know you in the 17s. Hey, Mimo.
There's heavy rain at the carousel. It's raining hard at the carousel. At the carousel now. At the carousel now.
Restore.
Yeah, Dylan's always confused. That's not the.
Lekker Dylan.
Steven.
It's getting better.
Oh, that's nice. At least we'll all finish top 10, chaps. I'm grabbing at straws here, okay? Check Ash is sitting there quietly with his 17s in the bank.
Don't give it away now.
Skip. There were 2 nights that he can't race in the week. Well, now it's come up because of his varsity is battling, but for the next day.
It'll be Thursdays and Mondays, 2 days we race.
Yeah, what's wrong with it, man? You know what I mean? To become the next online racing Steven!
Oh, there he's gone.
Can't hear you.
Yes. And it was over before it began.
Now, Peter's not here tonight to clash with him, so I would think he would be fine.
Well, it's Dylan we all clash with. Come on, Steven, are you in? You're still clashing. Oh. Oh, that's your 2 special relationship. Okay. So.
There's definitely something wrong with his internet.
Telling you guys, Telkom copper is the way to go.
He's almost on his phone, that's why he battles.
That said, I've been trying to download Formula 1 for the last week. It does have its downsides too. Right. Did we get a speech?
Yeah, speech, flat out.
Let's go.
say bye, Steve. Unfortunately, you can't join us this evening, and that's a bit sad.
Oh, he's persistent. You gotta give him that.
Yes, Stephen is definitely persistent. Guys, we are once again just battling to get Stephen in the lobby, but we unfortunately are going to have to get going. So we will be losing Stephen. And we are starting. So Savvy, we are once again in the commentary box, and we're just looking at the current positions. Ashley, he currently leads this championship with 90 points. Then Yolan, he's currently in second place with his teammate Rudy in third. Gavin GTZA, he's in fourth with, that is Craig, having missed out the previous race, is in fifth. Theo, he joined us last race, missing the first one, and he put in a very good second place. Memo, he is back, he's currently in seventh place with Peter. He hasn't been able to join us. Roy's having internet problems. We then have Devon, he's unfortunately working late. Johnny Speed, he joins us. Donkey, he's not with us. Then Ronald, he joins us, as well as Stephen. We are struggling to get Stephen in the lobby once again. So we have 9 guys this evening, but I do think that the racing will still be close, and it's going to be interesting.
Yeah, I think you're right, Dylan. It's going to be close racing. Definitely some challenges for some in the party this evening. Nice to see Ronald, F1 driver. He's here. He normally races with Midweek Racing, so great to see him joining this evening. And then obviously some favorites getting out on track at the moment. Be Awesome As Me, and he's on the track right now, giving it a go. We're going to be shuttering through some of the drivers this evening and having a good look. Here's Rudy Bays. He's out there as well this evening, just having a look, warming those tires up at the moment. Johnny Speed slightly behind him, or in front of him, should I say. There and then coming up quite quickly now is, I was going to say, the Green Mamba colors, which it is.
It is most definitely the Green Mamba colors.
There we go. You see, I knew you were going to throw that in, and that is Johnny Speed, by the way. He's Johnny Speed 01, so he's out there. Don't know much about him. Maybe you have some more info on Johnny Speed for us there, Dylan.
So when we actually did the advertising on our Facebook page that we were going to be starting the Janettas, Johnny Speed was actually one of the drivers that put his hand up and said he definitely wants to come and join us, and here he is racing in this GT5 Championship.
That's great news, and that's one of the ways we obviously reach out to the online drivers in South Africa, is through the Facebook page, SARCO's Facebook page, where you can get a whole lot of information about SARCO, as well as all the little inside stories that Dylan does, and obviously does.
Thank you very much.
a hell of a lot for online racing in South Africa. I mean, a couple of weeks ago we brought you an interview with obviously Motorsport South Africa, as well as Rage, the guys that are doing the Rage, which is actually happening this weekend. It's actually started, I think it started today, if I'm not mistaken.
It actually kicks off tomorrow, so they would have done their setups today, but I think the official entry would be tomorrow, and then it will run over the weekend. So looking at some lap times coming through, so that is a Yulan, oh, he was in first place, but now we have Craig having gone fastest with a 119.7. But definitely want to keep my eye on Ashley, so you're a little bit behind him. But there's Theo. Theo having joined us last week, putting in a second place. He battled to get himself around Ashley, and he's now currently gone fastest. Just a message there from Dane saying good luck, Bravo tier. Thank you very much, Dane, for signing in. Guys, if you are watching the stream live, please just give us a message, say hi, tell us who you think is going to be winning this first race. We can see that the top 3 drivers, so that is Theo, Craig and Ashley, 0.3 of a second separating them. Then there is a little gap between Rudy and Yulan, and then 4 seconds further down we have Gavin, then Johnny Speed, Memo, and then Ronald.
Yeah, see, Craig's not doing too badly. There we go.
That's Yulan actually going quickest.
Yeah, he has.
And then Craig comes back 0.08 of a second quicker. So Yulan and now down in second place with Craig currently on pole. So 18 seconds left of this first qualifying.
There we go, there we go. There's Theo coming back in a big way. He's now just made sure that he's tried to secure that position with basically 4 seconds to go.
So that is Theo now on front. So that's 1 second separating first and fourth place. That's definitely going to be close racing, but we can't discount the Johnny Speed. That's 1.3 seconds slower. He's definitely going to be up there. Should one of the guys make a mistake, he'll be ready to pounce. So to the guys currently racing, we've got Trent who's joined us. He's saying, come on Yoran, come on Rudy. So we're pretty sure who he's supporting. So that is qualifying complete. So unfortunately Theo missing out by 0.006 of a second to Craig. That is going to be some very close racing up front there.
I don't think the times are too shabby. I think there's some nice times in, and we're looking forward to watching this all taking place and happening this evening. I think a good thing, but not to get away with what I said there about obviously what SARCO is doing in South Africa for online racing. There we go. There's the current standings, first, second and third. Really some close racing. 118, 118, 119, 119, and then 119, 120, 121, 122, and then right down in 9th position there, a 124.
And it's actually quite interesting. There's that Dane actually comment to say, and I'm sure that's a question mark, and they say that the 20 club, and a lot of the guys are in the 19s and 18s, so it's really going to be interesting. Let's get this lobby going. So while we wait for that to come up, guys, I just want to mention that the hashtag Blood Drive 101 is in support of Tamwa, who unfortunately lost his life last year on the 2nd of October. If you go to the Facebook page, you can see how you're able to assist there. Essentially, while Ty was recovering in hospital, he used over 200 pints of blood, and this is a way his family are trying to get a number of 250 pints to essentially give back to what was used to try and save Ty's life. And Driver 101, you will always be remembered. So we are waiting for the sinking, and there it is. We will be racing in 3, 2, 1. It is green lights and we are away. Jolan having a great start. Oh, and that was Theo trying to just cover that outside line, but not expecting that Jolan would have got such a great start. So they are 2 wide going to the first corner. That was Ashley, who looked like he got it a little bit untidy, but Theo, he got it untidy himself. Here into Montreal. They all safely through there. That's Gavin now moving up into 6th place. Well, a little bit of corner cutting there, but Craig, he's now up into 1st place with Jolan. He's still in 2nd with Theo down in 3rd. Ashley, he's in 4th with that is Johnny Speed in 5th, Gav 6th, Rudy 7th, Memo having now gone into 7th. It will be a tricky, that was just about 3 wide, and that's Ronald going a little bit sideways, and Rudy picking up that inside curb. I think it's just not sure what was happening there. I don't know whether the tires were just not gripping, but he didn't look comfortable there. Back to the front of the pack. Craig has Jolan just behind him with Theo in 3rd and Ashley in 4th place. These guys are separated by mere split seconds. So same format as the Alpha tier. It is a 20-minute sprint race, and this sprint race, the positions were determined by a 5-minute qualifier, and we will have 2 of these races. So that is such a great sight to see. 1st, 2nd, 3rd and 4th all in the same shot. And Craig moving very well out of the way so that these guys don't get that slipstream advantage down this back straight. Whoa, that was Jolan very, very late on those brakes. And that's going to allow Theo to move to the inside. So Theo goes past. Well, a little argy-bargy there between Ashley and Jolan. Jolan trying everything he can to get that place back, but he has lost some momentum there, so he will now be dropping down from this pack. And Craig not being involved with any battle, so he's able to just open the gap slightly. So the guys that are currently on the stream, just let us know if your sound is okay, whether you need more volume of the engines, whether the voice is fine, because I did change some of the levels when Morris was saying that the music was a little bit loud, but I think that was from the in-game. So just let us know. And also, do you think that Craig will be able to stay in front for the remaining 16 minutes of this race? Gavin putting some pressure on Johnny Speed. Will he go? Oh, I thought he was just going to sneak on the inside there. That's Johnny getting it a little bit too deep coming out of Nelson, so that's going to allow Gavin to just move up on the inside through the bomb dive. I keep saying bomb dive, but it is the bomb hole. That was through Murray's the last corner, and I just see that Johnny was making very much the same mistake that I was, just overdriving the car, not getting it slowed down enough to take advantage of a good exit. That is Ashley all over the rear of Theo. And Theo seems to be just closing that gap down to Craig now. And also just following Craig, taking as much of that slipstream as possible. Craig and Ashley are official teammates in the karting world. So I'm sure these guys will have a bit of team orders, and that was a dodgy move. Ashley was way back. There definitely was not a gap there, and he unfortunately pushes Theo off, and that is Theo out of the race, and we have lost Memor as well. So we are now down to 7 drivers. Stephen, all I can say is just stick around. There's just under 15 minutes left of this race, and we are going to be sending you another invite. So we pick up the action here with Johnny down in 5th place. He had Gavin, who got through coming out of Nelson. And Gavin now starting to just pull away a gap here. So Craig is definitely starting to open up the gap ahead of Ashley. Well, that's Gavin going a little bit too tight on the approach into that last corner. So Stephen, if you have been able to join, don't go anywhere, just stick around. You will be able to join us for the second heat, and you can definitely get some points on the board. A message there from Kai now saying, come on Rudy, where Rudy is currently in 6th place. And he is unfortunately doing 120s, so that is just over about 0.6 of a second slower than Johnny Speed, who's in 5th. So Rudy is going to have everything to do to close that gap down. Johnny Speed really attacking that inside curb for Brundle. And Gavin, Johnny are just about going a similar speed. That is Craig in 1st place with a 118.8. He's nearly going a second quicker than the 2nd place driver Ashley. So the current positions, that is Craig in 1st, Ashley in 2nd, Yolan in 3rd place, with Gavin in 4th, Rudy's 5th, Johnny is in 6th, and Ronald the Roo in 7th place. Well, a little change of the positions. So Ronald, he's actually gone up. Oh, I'm not quite sure what happened there. It looked like the positions were changing. And we can see Stephen joining, disconnecting, joining, disconnecting, but he has said that he has just got in. So Stephen, stick around please. Little comment there from Theo Stein saying that is not how you race, by bumping people off. Theo, I must agree with you, that was definitely a move out of left field, that there definitely wasn't an overtake there. So Craig now having gone 1.2 seconds slower than Ashley. So Ashley starting to close that gap. He was just about 3 seconds faster than him. But now Ashley starting to close that gap.
So just while we're on that topic, Dylan, and I know it's sometimes a hot potato, but I think it has to be said. What is the recourse for a driver in this league if they have an incident like that? What is the actual correct process of taking it up with the race directors?
So what would essentially happen is we obviously have the video footage, so if somebody does want to put in an appeal, is that there would be a penalty that can be applied, but we send that penalty out to a third-party committee. They will then review it, and then they will come back to us with whatever the penalty and the ruling would be.
And is there any affiliation these days with Motorsport South Africa? Is that how it works?
So there are terms and conditions that apply, but we do have a good relationship with them, so we actually make use of, so I can't say that we have the MSA that do the officiating for us, but it is people that are associated to it, and there is a behind-the-scenes committee that would review it.
And I mean, it's all about fair play anyway, and that's what it's on. I mean, and are the guys required to record their racing, or is it footage that we actually are streaming that we go on? What is the case there?
So it's a bit of both. If the driver does feel like there has been some injustice done, they're able to send that footage through to us, where we will then send it on to the committee. But if we can see it and they say, well, the footage was on the stream, could you review it, we can use that footage. But we haven't had an incident like that, I'd say, for nearly 3 months, where the guys have been really good with it. But I'm sure there was maybe that Ashley's not the type of driver that would just do that, so we definitely would need to just check with him to see what had actually happened.
Yeah, I mean, it looked like to me that it was close following, and I think I'm basically going on what I saw, and it's not that I'm going to say we're going to sort it out now, or whoever puts in whatever, but it looked as though there was a bit of a curb nip, and the back end was lost, and I saw Ash going into the back of Theo, and especially on this corner, I think it was actually right here, that was all going down. So it can be reviewed, and I think if Theo's got a problem with it, I have to be straight up and say, well, Theo, put in your case. If you've got video shot of the incident, also send that through as well. And likewise for Ash, I mean, he's also got to defend himself anyway, and he could probably do the same.
And the last thing I wanted to be is that it's a you said, I said, and it just gets like sticky, is that people and tempers, I understand that they do flare, and that's definitely like a heat of the moment, but when you just re-look at the footage and you break it down, that it isn't always as malicious as you think at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, it's heated racing. When I say heated, I'm talking about the cars now, not about the people. I'm talking about it's heated racing. I mean, everybody makes mistakes, and my impression is, oh, it was malicious. It doesn't always be that. It's not always the case. So, if you have something to say, rather break it down on video evidence, and we go from there. I mean, I think that's it for the topic at the moment. So let's get back to the racing. As we can see, Gav,
we can
going
just
up
jump.
now.
Yes, that's exactly what I wanted to say, is that Yulan is starting to get some pressure from Gav, that we will have about 6 laps left of this race, and we still see Stephen frantically trying to get into the lobby. Stephen, we will definitely try and get you in. So Gavin has been going 0.6 on the last lap quicker than Yulan. So Yulan going a little bit hot, Gavin slowing that car down very nicely, and I'm sure he'll get the better drive coming out of the corner.
Gav seems to be a lot smoother at the moment. Just on the visuals, you can see him coming through. He's a little bit tighter on the inside here. He's up into fourth.
Whoa, there goes Yulan
that,
into the wall. That's not going to help him for the rest of this race.
Now, in actual fact, Dylan, that happened to me 3 times yesterday. And it's basically because you're going a little bit wide and the tire catches the inside of that curve, you know, which is underneath the chassis, and it just throws the car into the wall. So I experienced that yesterday.
Oh, and there goes Yulan trying too hard to recover. I think he might have some suspension damage. And I'm sure Johnny will be able to see that Yulan is now struggling. So Johnny will be relishing at the opportunity to move himself up an additional position. And Yulan was really looking good in 3rd place.
So he's dropping down into 1st around that corner. And I mean, as we saw, most of the guys were dropping down into 2nd. And I think the angle on that, as I said, my most difficult corner was actually that one coming into start finish.
So that is Gavin just coming up the back of Ronald. So Ronald will just move over for him. So Gavin now up into 3rd place.
Back on board with Ash at the moment just to see where he's doing. He's 3 seconds behind Craig. Craig driving exceptionally well this evening, making sure that he's got a lot of open space in front of him and behind him at the moment.
Yep, so we'll have 4 laps left. Whoa, that was Craig nearly going a little bit sideways. So we'll see when he crosses this line. He would have lost about a second there. So Gavin really is looking comfortable. And as I say that, I curse the poor man, and he puts it into the wall, into the last corner. So now Yulan will be just about 2 seconds, nearly 1 second behind him. And it's looks like it will be a battle between Gavin, Yulan and Johnny Speed. So it will be a very interesting 2 laps to go, with both Yulan and Gavin having a bit of damage. Whether Johnny has the damage or not, that we will have to wait and see. So Gavin doing a 129, Yulan a 121 and Johnny a 120. So Johnny is definitely the fastest of the 3 now. Stephen just put up a message just saying, I am here, I am waiting. That is a great news, Stephen. We have just on 2 laps to go of this race, and we will go straight back into a 5-minute qualifying for the 2nd heat. Johnny unfortunately losing just a little bit of time coming through Nelson. Just had to slow down a little bit more than you should have. There was Gavin just touching that sand on the inside. That is definitely not a place you want to be putting that car when you're on the brakes.
Rudy went totally off there, but he came back on now, so I'm not too sure what's going on there. There was a total break.
I think Rudy's just trying to get rid of a slowdown penalty.
There's Craig.
So 30 seconds left of this race. It's been all Craig up front here, and I honestly thought that Theo would have been able to close that gap, because between himself, Ashley and Theo, or Craig, Ashley and Theo, the times they were doing were just so similar. So Craig crosses the line with 10 seconds to go, which means that there will be one final lap of the race. And Gavin has Yulan at just 1 second behind him, and then 2 seconds behind him is Johnny Speed. So they have 1 second, 1 lap to go to sort this out between them. That was extremely brave, climbing so high up on that inside curve, going through riches. Oh, that is Yulan. I'm not sure how that car continued to roll over like that, but that was freaking awesome actually. The fact that the car just rolled over very slightly, and I'm sure himself and Jacques from TTR can compare notes. He definitely stuck the landing, and I'll give you a 9.5 out of 10 for that. So that is the race complete. Craig has crossed the line in first place. Second will be Ash. Third place will be Gavin. Then Johnny Speed, he should finish in fourth place with Yulan in fifth. Followed by Rudy in sixth. That's Rudy now. You never. No, next, sorry, it actually wasn't him. I'll say it definitely does not look like that car had rolled over, and that because it wasn't Rudy, it was actually Yulan. So that will conclude that. Let's just jump into the lobby. And I did it again. Well, all I need to do is do that, and then just change that to game chat. There we go.
It was like, I don't even know if I touched. It was must have been like a ball hair touch, because it was.
Because I was quite happy when you two started to tangle.
You're currently live on the stream.
Ah,
Gavin, that was a great third place there for you. Lots of battles going on there. But before we get to you, Yulan, what happened to your little rollover there?
I lost control twice.
We must say it definitely looked very spectacular the way you just rolled over, and then we didn't think that you would get all the way over, and then luckily you stuck the landing, and I did give you a 9.5 for your landing.
I almost retired. I almost retired, and the moment I saw a land on my wheels, I was like, no, keep going, cars will fine.
100%. So guys, I'm just sticking in my cable because my controller was saying that it was running flat. So now that that is done, and then Gavin, you managed to sneak in a third place there. Are you happy with that result?
I am. It's a pity that I think it was Yulan in front of me that lost it on that first corner. I was gaining on him, but yeah, it's a pity. I was looking forward to a battle there.
And then Ashley, there's definitely been some talk about the move going into Nelson. Can you just take us through that?
Not sure what happened, but it looked like Theo got a bit out of shape, and I was on the brakes, also getting a bit squeaky, and it must have been the slightest of touches, but his arse just spun around, and I'm so sorry, Theo. And it was unfortunate, but it seems to happen.
Cool, happiness. And then Craig, you managed to get away. We did think that you would have closed the gap down on them. Were you happy with your win, or did you actually want to be tangling with the guys?
Yes, I would love to race, but I must be honest, and Ash will back me up, that I was struggling to get into the mid-19s before we started the race, and then fiddled with a bit of setup and got things going properly, so happy with the result.
Awesome. Guys, let's get those thumbs up and we'll go into the qualifying for the second and final heat of the evening.
Can you invite Theo back quickly, please?
Yes, I will do.
Yeah.
Hello, boys.
He's
Hello,
in,
boys.
she cried.
Yes, I'm here. I'm here. After trying so many times.
Look, we noticed.
Yeah, no, I'm sure you did. But yes, I am here to race now.
Fantastic.
Got tired of watching you guys doing laps.
Ash, what's the team orders? Yeah, we backed off a bit in the second half of the race too, to make sure that we got it home.
Yeah, after my spin I did that as well. I got a bit worried in that corner. So I started taking it a bit easy there.
I'm straight back on the horse, man, don't worry. Sorry Ash, what was that about team orders?
Look at the point.
Come on. What about for the elderly?
Here, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Sorry, but I don't know what happened. It must have been the finest of touches that I got you, and you were just turning it at the wrong time, and that's what spun you around. So I apologize.
I don't think he's ready yet.
Can you hear me?
No, I can hear you. Oh, where's my...
Yes, sir. No worries.
Thank you kindly.
So, it is now race number 2 that is about to take place. We're on board with Craig. He's out as we speak in his familiar red little Cheetah. And let's have a look what he's able to put on this evening. Rudy Bayers was out first of the pits, so we'll be keeping a close eye on the sort of times he'll be putting up at this particular point in time. Johnny Speed out of the pits now as well as what is all going down here this evening. And as you can see, 9 drivers ready to go. Let's just go and see if we can put ourselves in to a good position. Dylan just going to be a couple of minutes longer, and then he'll be back with us on the stream, just taking a bit of a break to get something to keep his voice going. Doing this in the virtual commentary box does take its toll. I know that we sort of rush off to get liquid just to make sure we can talk a little bit longer. So it looks as though Steve's still in the pits. He's coming out, battling a little bit there, getting out of the pits, but he's out of the pits, so that's great news. Nice to see Steve now on the track as we see him now getting onto the field, and it's nice to have him with us. Johnny Speed at the moment, you can see he's out there. We're going to see Rudy's going to be probably the first one to put up a time. And then Gavin just behind him at the moment. He's going to be the second one as we're watching now what's going on here. Rudy seems to have slowed down somewhat. I don't know what's taken a place there. But we'll obviously he's back in the pits ASAP. So let's see what is going down. So just starting that run again quickly. So 2 minutes left in the session, so he might have enough time to put up a quali time. 2 minutes 19 odd seconds to go here this evening, and in heat number 2. So we'll see what's going down at the moment.
And I am back. Whoa, a little bit sideways there.
As you come back and start speaking, Dylan, you know, what is it with you this evening? It looks as though you've got a bit of a spell on these drivers.
I promise I don't. And all I can say, it is so great to see Stephen in the lobby. This is now the 5th race that, or 1, 2, 3, the 4th race that he's finally able to get in, and we'll finally have Stephen racing with us.
So first time's up there, Craig in a 119, but there is Theo. He puts on a 119.032. So some distance between him and Craig, but I don't think Craig's going to leave him at that. Gavin's also up there at a 120. 130 by Stephen. Hello, Stephen. Welcome to SARCO Racing. And yet 4 races in, you're now in the lobby. So now it's time to prove your point, sir.
And I must say, it was actually quite nice that we had chatted to Ashley. He did say that he had lost it a little bit, and between himself and Theo, they seem to be okay.
Well, that's it. You know, I think, and that's what it's all about. You know, stand up for it. I know that we had a big discussion on it, Dylan, but it's important that people understand, you know, that it's not all about. You know, there is a review process, there is a strict guideline to follow, and follow the guidelines, you know, if you've got issues, and I think it was sorted out, as you say, in the lobby section, and that's good news.
Yep, and that's exactly what we want. We even saw it at the end of the second heat in the Bravo tier, that last lap. There was a little bit of contact between Charles and Christopher. Christopher ran wide. Charles came back in. Bruno had got such a great drive, and they contacted, and fortunately that is racing, but there definitely wasn't any malicious intent of any of the 3 drivers, and as long as we were able to sort it out amongst ourselves, we'll keep racing. So Theo, he still holds the top spot with Craig in second place. That's Gavin in third, so he's moved himself ahead of Ashley on the start. Yulan, he's in 5th with, that's Johnny Speed that's in 5th. Yulan's in 6th with Rudy 7th. Ronald, he's in 8th with Stephen in 9th place. But I'm sure Stephen, even though he's in the 9th place, he'd rather be racing with us than watching from home. So guys, if you are still on the stream, give us a shout out. Let us know what your thoughts are on this race. Who do you think is going to take it? We have Theo back, and Theo currently putting in the fastest qualifying time. Will this be his race?
And I think it's important as well, just to let the viewers know that the off the start line is very, very important. You have to make sure that you're off that start line.
Without a doubt. So there's confirmation. So Theo, he's in 1st, pole position in this race. Craig is 2nd, Gavin 3rd, out qualifying Ashley. Ashley in 4th. Johnny speeds up into 5th. Yolan, he's in 6th with Ronald moving up ahead of Rudy. I don't think Rudy was able to get in a clear lap there. And Stephen in 9th. Let's go racing. So this is the last race of the evening. It is the second heat of the Bravo tier, and we have 20 minutes to go. We are currently in the holding lobby, and we're waiting for the sync. Once that sync is up, we will be racing. So I just had to run off just to get some water. My mouth has been so dry, so cheers guys. So I do think, Savvy, that was the sync that we were waiting for. It will be syncing shortly. There's the confirmation. So all the drivers are now getting ready. That is 3 red lights. It is a green, and we are racing. And unfortunately, Theo not getting the start that he would have wanted, and that's allowed Craig to move up into first place on the inside. Gavin, he's away cleanly, so still holding his third place ahead of Ashley. Johnny Speed, he's still in 5th. That was Rudy, I think. No, that was Gavin, unfortunately, catching that outside curb, and that's put him down into 9th place. There we see Gavin rejoining in the background there. And Ashley and Yolan are just about side by side coming down at the back straight. It's all going to be very interesting coming into a Brundle. Who will have the inside line? And it is Ashley that goes ahead of Yolan. Theo now chasing down Craig, 0.5 of a second behind him. And it is very congested in the midfield. That is Johnny moving to the inside of Yolan. Into the last corner, Johnny has to brake and move out of the way to not go into the back of Yolan, which has just allowed Ronald to come up. That is Theo into the pits. I think he actually might have jump started. So Ashley, he's now up into 2nd place, and that is a big hit. That is Yolan putting it on the wall, coming through Riches. Oh, that was a sign being taken out there by Ronald. So Rudy, he's now moved himself up into 4th place. Ronald is in 5th, Gavin 6th, Theo down in 7th. 8th place is Stephen. Ronald just seems to be battling here, having joining us from the F1 racing here in the GT5. Just struggling just a little bit. And Johnny Speed is late on the brakes once again. We'll cross the line just to see the different lap time difference. You can see that 1:37 for Theo. He is not going to be happy with that. So Craig starting to pull his gap away from Ashley. So Rudy, he's actually moved back down to 4th, and Johnny, he's currently up into 3rd place. I did see the little flick of the positions, but I wasn't quite sure what had happened. But I see that it was actually Rudy who had probably moved over to fix a slowdown penalty. You can just see how the guys are going a little bit too deep into that corner where the guys from the Alpha tier, they were definitely a lot wider and taking a much sooner line. And that is Yolan, unfortunately, having retired after that massive impact on the inside, having gone through riches, clipped the outside curb and threw himself into the wall. Really needs to be very careful. We've seen two cars having rolled over in that exact corner, and Rudy doing a best delta there of minus 0.3 of a second. But Johnny moving to the inside to go defensive, but Rudy just needs to be careful on the outside. Oh, that's Ashley rejoining. So Ashley's gonna have both Johnny and Rudy right up against him. That's Johnny and Ashley are going off. Not sure whether either one of them knew where the other one was. But that now puts Rudy up into second place, and Gavin, he's once again found himself up into third, and Ronald, he's now in fourth with Johnny and Ashley in fifth and sixth respectively, with Theo in seventh. So he's going to be caught up in that battle behind Ashley and Johnny any moment. Just in terms of the lap times, you can see that Theo is doing that 1:18.7. So there's still time here for Theo to work himself up through the field. And I think Ashley got a much better run here on Johnny, so Ashley will move to the inside about now. So Ashley just squeezing Johnny a little bit. That's Johnny off. He manages to keep it on the track. And that's Theo who will now go past. So Ashley moves himself ahead of Ronald. And Johnny getting it a little bit untidy there, which allows Theo to move up into sixth place. Oh, that is Theo on the brakes, losing the rear. So 13 minutes left. So we'll have about 10 laps to go of the race. Craig, he still leads with Rudy in second place. Gavin, he's in third with Ashley fourth. Ronald fifth. Yolan, I keep saying Yolan, but that is Johnny in sixth. Then Theo in seventh place and Stephen down in eighth. So Savvy, I definitely think it's just a matter of the guys just trying too hard, and that's where these little mistakes start creeping in.
Yeah, Dylan, I can only agree with you, and it's really pushing the car to the limits, and then obviously finding themselves in trouble. I think you had a fantastic T-shirt on a couple of weeks back, or 2 weeks ago, when we were at Vodacom World. And can you give us the tagline of that T-shirt?
So the tagline, and I must just say this for the record, is that it is actually credit to Jake's, is that this was where the inspiration came from, and it was after a race that we had at the Bathurst track in the Super V8s. Jake's qualified first but didn't end up winning. I managed to leapfrog him in the pits, and the highlight for my replay was the fastest doesn't always win. And that was the shirt, and it's definitely happening here. The fastest does not always win. Bruno, you're definitely right. Bruno's comment there was to say the Bravo tier, the boys are giving it their all. They definitely are. So we see Theo's now starting to close up on the back of Ronald and Johnny once again. Theo, having been in a first position on pole, looked like he jumped the start. So that's Ronald just allowing Theo to go around, realized that he wouldn't be able to compete with him. So Theo now up into 6th place. Next on his radar would be Johnny Speed in 5th. So about 8 laps to go. And currently Theo is the fastest on the track, having just done a 1:18.4 compared to Craig doing a 1:19.5. So Theo getting his toe from Johnny. They're gonna go side by side, but Theo is a little bit too wide there. A little lock up there by Johnny, but will Theo be able to get the drive? There's been a lot of drivers who've had contact here coming through Coram. Well, that's Johnny getting the rear a little bit loose, and that's unfortunately sent him off. And I saw that Ronald, he was able to go past without any incident there. So Theo now up into 5th place, 5 seconds behind Ashley. So a 1:19.1 there for Theo, and Craig now doing a 1:18.7. So he's definitely upped his lap time compared to his previous lap. I must say I am very impressed with Rudy currently in 2nd place. So I'm sure Kai now will be very happy with Rudy's performance. Eight minutes to go. So that's a 1:19.7 for Rudy and a 1:18.8 for Gavin. There could be a possibility that Gavin's able to close Rudy down and put himself into 2nd place. So Theo putting in a great 1:18.2. Oh, big lock up there for Gavin. That's for Rudy, that's going to allow Gavin to close that gap. And I'm sure we'll see it on the lap times when they cross the start-finish line to begin their 11th lap. That's a great exit there by Gavin. He really has been driving this car well. So a 1:20 for Rudy, a 1:19.2 for Gavin. Now they are going to riches. Whoa, that was a big oversteer there. Just about 5 laps to go of the race, and we're currently looking at the battle for second and third, and it is Gavin who's looking the most comfortable out of the two. Gavin in third place. He is starting to really get close up behind Rudy, and this is where we'll see whether Rudy can start handling this pressure, or whether Gavin will be able to force him into a mistake and take that place from him. Definitely is a weird camera angle there that the cameraman keeps zooming into that big curb on the inside.
Yeah, he's trying to show them how big that curb is. You know, it's a big warning. And yeah, I think it's probably the an indication of, guys, have you seen how big this hump is? You know what I mean?
Without a doubt. So Rudy actually went faster than Gavin that last lap by 0.3 of a second. So Rudy has obviously now seen Gavin in his rearview mirror, and now he's really giving it his all.
Go, there we go. Achtung, Achtung. Gotta watch out for that damn curb. And this is close racing now. I think Gav's more comfortable just to sit, and I think he's going to start to look to attack in the next couple of seconds.
Well, he has got 3 laps to put on an attack, because we do remember that in the previous race Theo was behind Ashley, and he said that he just sat there waiting for the mistake, couldn't get the mistake. As soon as he needed to start pushing, Theo himself actually made that mistake and basically lost that win. So Gavin must just be careful that he doesn't leave it too late. But I think a good exit here will... No, he didn't quite get the exit I thought he would have. But there you can see that Gavin was 0.2 of a second quicker than Rudy.
Rudy seems to have the straight line speed.
Whoa! I think that was Gavin saw that Rudy was getting it a little bit out of shape, grabbed the brakes, and there goes Ashley. Ashley now moves himself up into third place. And that is now Theo closing that gap, so Theo going just over a second quicker than Gavin. With 2 laps to go, Gavin's gonna have his work cut out to hold that 4th place. Remember, Theo having jumped that start, having to go for a drive-through penalty, so rejoined the race in last place, has worked himself up the field. He's now in 5th, and I'm sure he's going to be fighting for that 4th place from Gavin. So Theo moving to the inside. Will there be enough space? No, there isn't. Theo just backs off the attack. But you can see a much straighter line there for Theo coming out. So Gavin moves to the inside to hopefully defend. And they are going to be a side by side into Brundle. But that is Theo with the better line. I think it did sound like Gavin came off the power, realized that he wouldn't be able to attack into that corner, and Theo now moves himself up into 4th place. So we can just jump to where Craig is on the track quickly, please. There, I just want to see how far he is. Okay, so we should have 1 more lap after this. So we will get in these 16 laps.
Yeah, I was just about to say round about 1 minute to go, but that was 30 seconds, 30 odd seconds ago. So it just shows you, I think you're right, he could have...
He should be able to get that another lap in. He's got the last corner, and it takes about 10 seconds to get down the start finish line, to get down the straight to the start finish line. So he should cross the line with just about 10 seconds to go, and we will have one more lap.
20 seconds ahead of his nearest rival here at the moment. So great driving from Craig this evening. I think he's hardly made a mistake anywhere on the track, and what a great drive it's been for them.
Yeah, I do think without that additional pressure from him is that he's just able to settle, because you can see that he's in that 119.2 now, so he hasn't really needed to push, but I think a little bit of pressure and it would have been a completely different race for him. But I must
one
say
thing I did...
Yep.
Yeah, one thing I must say is during this race, I found the right tire seemed to be getting a lot of punishment, or should I say the left front, the left front tire getting a lot of punishment, and a lot of rubber being used up in this race. And once again the camera decides to go for the
that is so strange.
It is.
Well, that's it. Craig will cross the line, so he will hit a double win. Then Rudy will come home in second place, and that looked like that was Johnny playing on the start finish line there.
Oh, it's going to focus on it again. Stop focusing.
So that's Rudy wiggling side to side, but don't wiggle too much. The last thing you want to do is lose the rear. Oh, he puts it into the barrier. And Ashley will come home in third. And I see that's Gavin. He's actually in fourth place ahead of Theo, so I'm not sure whether Theo had made a mistake. But there's the confirmation. Gavin comes home in fourth place with Theo in fifth. Ronald will finish in sixth with Stephen seventh and Johnny in eighth place. So guys, while they are just completing the race, just remember that this this series, this GT5 Championship, is proudly brought to you by Thrustmaster, who are one of the sponsors, as well as Medal State. If you'd like to find out what tournaments that you're able to play, you can check out medalstate.com. all the information there, and all the race results that we have is on our medalstate.com/SARCO. For any Thrustmaster products, you can go check out evetech.co.za. Just do a Thrustmaster search and you will find all you need there. So I'm just going to jump back into the lobby, and I did that again. Got to get used to doing that. So the final result: Craig first with Rudy second, Ashley he's in third place with Gavin fourth, Theo's in fifth, Ronald sixth, Stephen seventh, and Johnny Speed in eighth.
No. You fought very hard to come back there, but just
thank
to give
you,
me that
gentlemen.
again.
Thank you very much, guys. You are live on the stream. Theo, we'll start off with you. Put it on pole position. Was that a jump start off the line there?
Yeah, it was.
Man, very unfortunate, and I must say we must commend you in your fight there, having started on the back and working your way back through the field. We didn't see right at the end there, we had thought that you'd got yourself ahead of Gavin, and then just as we were crossing the line, we saw that Gavin had actually got that fourth place.
Yeah, unfortunately I pressed the little button they call it serve that puts your pit limiter on, and I didn't know what was wrong until it was too late, and so yeah, that's it.
Oh my goodness, very unfortunate there, man. And then in third place, Ashley, you managed to work your way through the field. Are you happy with your result?
Well, not really. I shouldn't have spun, but that's how it goes. Yeah, hard lines to Theo. But yeah, that was a good race overall.
And Rudy, you put yourself on the podium in second place. Great drive there for you.
Yeah, it was fun. Just a pity seeing some of the guys spin out in front of me. I was looking forward to the race, but yeah, I just had to keep Gavin behind me, and then he spun.
Yeah, and unfortunately we saw your teammate, your Synergy Racing teammate, Yulan. He caught the outside curb going through turn number 1 and put himself properly into that inside wall, so he unfortunately had to retire. And then Craig, back-to-back wins there for you. Are you happy with that result, or once again would you rather been racing?
Very disappointed with the drive, you know, with the competitors having drive through penalties and spinning, because it would have been a lot of fun.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's a good result for the team. Seeing as I missed last week's race, so far the race has taken part, 100% strike rate, so we'll have to wait to see if Ash and the guys can bring it next week.
No, 100%. Guys, thank you very much. We will see you next week. And next week we do go back to the 40-minute race. We will be racing at the Long Beach. It is a street circuit, 40 minutes around Long Beach, and there's going to be some very interesting weather. Guys, thank you very much for tuning in and joining us on the stream. And just before we end off, don't forget that you're able to go to Facebook, go check out Blood Drive 101 in support of gathering that 250 pounds of blood in the memory of Tamwa, who passed away on the 2nd of October. Go check out that on Facebook, and until then, we'll see you next week. Thanks for watching.
Thanks for organising, Dylan. Great event. Cheers.